Guys, welcome to your very first truth bump. It's called a truth bump because it's same as the goosebump. You know, when you get a goosebump, and I know when I'm going to be sharing these deliveries, there will be times where you will get that goosebump, and I like to call it a truth bump because the bumps that you get is due to a realization, a dropping in of something within yourself, and so when you have that realization of truth, you get a truth bump. So these are deliveries that I'm going to be sharing with you on a weekly basis. They'll be anywhere between 30 minutes to 60 minutes, depending on the delivery. Some of them might be, 1, 2, or 3 different parts. And so look, at this point, if this is the first thing that you're listening to, I would suggest that you actually listen or watch the signatory program, my signatory program, which has always been known, well, not always, it's mostly been known as the WTF experience. I say mostly because it originally came out as a program called The Quest for Truth. And then I'll tell you really briefly, the reason it turned into the WTF experience is because when I was delivering the Quest for Truth, when I was delivering these programs live in person, people would actually say, "What the fuck?" Like they would swear, and they would have these big, these truth bump moments that I'm talking about. They would say, "I'm having a what the fuck moment." So, as a joke, one day I actually just said I should call this my program not the Quest for Truth, but I should call it the WTF program. I said that as a joke, but a couple of days later I was walking and it just downloaded for me, and it just went the wisdom, truth, and freedom experience, and that's how it became the WTF experience. Now, some of you, depending on when you're watching this, may know that program as the Limitless program. So it has rebranded recently, and so whether you know it as the WTF program or the Limitless program, during the truth bumps, as I'm delivering this, I will commonly just refer to it as the WTF because it's what I've always known. It has recently been rebranded as Limitless, but either way, it's in the coaching app. And if you haven't watched that, I strongly recommend that you actually don't watch any further. Or you can watch this first truth bump, but I wouldn't go into deeper truth bumps until you've actually watched the WTF experience or the Limitless program. So either way, some of you might actually, because it's only recently, it's post-COVID, I'm actually coming back and re-delivering those programs live. So some of you may have experienced that program live in person with me. Either way, the work that I'm sharing with you, the coaching that I'm sharing with you, the homework, the insights that I'm going to get you to go away and ponder on are all coming from the signatory program, the WTF experience or Limitless. I'll just refer to it as the WTF experience because that's what I've always known it as. So if you hear me say the WTF and you know it as Limitless, that's what it is. Okay, so let's get into it. Today, as our very, very first truth bump, I would love to share the topic of the feeling, because this is really where, I think I can tell you the first 2 truth bumps. The rest of them, I don't really know what they are because I follow my feeling, and I deliver them as it shows up. So for me, today I want to share with you the feeling. The next truth bump, which you will receive next week, is reclaiming power. Now these two are very, very important, and the feeling is is I mean, every truth bump's going to be super important, but the feeling is one that you really got to get clear about what the feeling is, because if you misinterpret what the feeling is, it's going to take your journey is going to be long. It's going to take you the long route. But the feeling for me is really powering your journey. It's and our journey starts together, and what powers your journey is the feeling. What started me on my journey, I was just so committed, so dedicated to following the feeling. That's how it started for me. Before I even started to speak, before I even knew I had content that was arising through me, before all that, it was all about following the feeling, because there's a feeling that resides within all of us, and it's there to be expressed and move through us. So as we follow that feeling, some pretty profound things take place. I would say that all of my life and where I am, whether that's where I am and who I am, is I would dedicate or contribute. I would say it's the contribution to that has been following the feeling. So, but let's get clear about what the feeling is, because sometimes people confuse or misinterpret the feeling as an emotion. So, at some point, you were younger and you may have experienced lust, and you confused that with love. And maybe someone tried to tell you it's just lust, it's not love. But at some point in your life, you may have experienced, there's a difference. There's a difference between love and lust. And until you experience that for yourself and become clear, you don't really know it. And that's what I want to share with you today. I want to tell you there is a difference between the feeling and an emotion. At first, it's like, well, what's he talking about? I mean, the feeling and emotion, isn't that the same thing? And I refer to this in the WTF program, but I just want to get really clear about this, because an emotion is a reaction to your circumstances. An emotion is a reaction to how you're perceiving your circumstances, how you're perceiving yourself, how you're perceiving the world, how you're perceiving, what's happening to you, what's happening for you. Your perception of that will create an emotion. Now, that emotion may be a negative emotion. It may also be a positive emotion. And, you might be getting really elated, or you might get really down and depressed, right? But both those emotions are a reaction to how you perceive to what's happening for you right now in your life, okay? Or not even, it's not limited to right now, it's to the past, or even you projecting into the future. Now, the feeling is not that. It's not positive, it's not negative, because positive and negative is two. It comes from your interpretation through your perception of your world of duality. So in your physical world, in our physical world, we're experiencing two of everything. So if there's a right, there's a wrong. If there's a positive, there's a negative. If there's a good, there's a bad. If there's an in, there's an out. If there's a hot, there's a cold. I could keep going, right? Everything, there's two. Now, the feeling is not positive nor negative. It's neither. And the best way I can explain this to you is to ask you the question: if you've ever experienced happiness or joy, which is the more real or truer word, have you ever experienced that for no reason? Like, and for me, I'll share a moment where I first remember experiencing that. And I was sitting in Bondi Beach, which is where I'm from. And And just for a moment, I was just sitting on a park bench, and just for a moment, I just felt this immense joy for no reason. And then my head began to perceive what's going on. And through my head, I could see that I'm experiencing this joy. And my head went, why am I experiencing this joy? Because it doesn't understand. It needed a reason of why am I feeling this joy? And of course, if you're looking for the reason of why you're feeling this joy, you will also find reasons of why you shouldn't be feeling this joy. And that's exactly what happened to me. And I was like, why am I happy? Why am I feeling joyful? I've got all these problems. And I've got all these issues. I've got financial debt. I've got obesity problems. And this is where I was in my life at that. And I had health issues, and immediately that joy just disappeared. And that's the thing about joy or love. And I often call this the real love. And again, another piece of homework that I would recommend for you is to go and watch my recording that's also in the coaching app called When Love Becomes Real. And it's a 2-part series. And at some point, I don't want to overwhelm you. At some point, listen to that and you understand what I mean by the real love. But if you want another word for the real love, it's joy. It's joy. And joy is there for no reason. Because joy or love, the real love, comes from oneness. And the real love or joy doesn't have a reason for its existence. It doesn't have a reason for you to feel that love. And what we constantly do is, and we don't have to, we can break this pattern, and I'll talk about this later, is we look for the reasons of why we feel what we feel. Why do we do that? Because we try to take our feeling into our head and we try to interpret it and understand it. And when we don't understand it, it frightens us. That's what happens in our physical world, in society. As soon as we don't understand something, it brings fear. It frightens us, right? So when it comes to joy and love, the feeling is present. It's there. They say love is, full stop, period. The truth is, full stop, period. There's nothing afterwards. Because the moment you say what it isn't that. Because you're interpreting that through your interpretation of perception, which is something you're interpreting through the world of duality. You see, oneness or love is present. So when you become present, and that's what would have happened to me when I was experiencing that joy for no reason, I just had let's just say, a fluke moment. By chance, I just found myself completely being present, and I just felt this joy. I wasn't thinking about what I needed to do. I wasn't thinking about my to-do list. I wasn't thinking about what I still needed to accomplish in my life and how far behind I still am. I wasn't comparing my life to anyone else's. I wasn't comparing my life to the past or the future. It was just a moment of, by chance. I wasn't trying to do that. Now I actually teach people, and I'll be teaching you through this coaching program, through the truth bumps, in how to find that state, not by chance, but at will. And that's what I'm going to be sharing with you through these truth bumps. I will also say, as we're going into the feeling, that the truth bumps, you will notice, will get deeper and deeper. And so I really recommend that you watch them or experience them in order. Because sometimes I refer to a truth bump, maybe it's going to be a truth bump number 20, and I might refer to something that is in truth bump number 15, for example, and I would think that you've already watched that or you've already experienced that. So please do watch these in order. And it's not really supportive for you to get a truth bump number 20 and give it to your friend and go, listen to this. It's, if you want your friend to experience this, get them to experience from the beginning, because I'm layering things as we go along, and we're going to have a platform that we're going to build on. And then the next layer comes on, and then the next layer comes on. And that way it drops in. I'm trying to surpass the intellect and get to a point where you feel this within yourself, as though it's connecting to a part of you that already knows it. So I just wanted to put that out there as well. And, this is a very important one to start on, which is the feeling. The next one is going to be reclaiming power. Now, that's a very important one to also experience before you move on, because there's going to be lots of things that you need to understand and have a direct experience of on your path. And you need to have the tools, if you like, to reclaim your power. Because if you don't have that tool, you don't have that understanding, what you're doing is you're just looking for band-aid options. You're looking to, fix, improve, change things in order for you just to manage the pain, manage your circumstances, where reclaiming power is completely transforming your circumstances. So, if I can go back to the feeling, what I'd love to share about the feeling is that the feeling is always present. It's that we are not always present to it. And we get consumed in our life with the doings and with our fixation of the havings, what we want to have, and we are looking to do and have, because if you peel the layer of the onion back, at the end of the day, I want to have this because it makes me feel a certain way. I want to have this home. I want to have this relationship. I want to have my kids. I want to have this car. I want to have this career. Whatever it is, I want to have this health. These things give you a feeling. So please understand that it's a feeling that we're always after. And that's why we get fixated on the doings and the havings. Now, we are a human being, aren't we? We're not just human. They say we're a human being. And we have our humanness, right, which is the part of you that looks to, thrive and survive. And it looks to, it uses its tools of, its physical reality, which is your 5 human senses. So what you see, what you smell, what you taste, what you hear, and what you touch, right? But our being is a different sense. It's our 6th sense. And within our 6th sense, we can also see, but we're not seeing with these eyes. We can also feel, but we're not feeling with these hands. We can also hear, but we're not hearing with these ears. Right? So when you have a vision, or when you're using your imagination, or even when you're having a dream, your eyes are closed mostly. You're not seeing with these eyes. You're seeing it with the mind's eye, right? When you hear something, sometimes you have a vision or a voice that comes to you. And if you haven't, well, what about when you have a dream? Surely you've had a dream, and in the dream, someone is talking to you and you're communicating. You are hearing something, but it's not with these ears. So our 6th sense is our sense for the non-physical. So as a human being, we have the human, which is our physical reality. It's what we experience ourselves through duality. And our sixth sense is how we process or we interpret the oneness, the non-physical, the formless. And this is important to understand because when I'm talking about the feeling comes from your sixth sense, or you're using your sixth sense to sense it. And that's what you do. You're sensing your feeling, an emotional reaction that you're having, an emotion it's almost like you embody that emotion. It's a reaction to your physical reality. It's a reaction to what's happening to your humanness, right? The being is constant. It's not interested. It's not affected by what's happening to you on your physical level. It has no reason, because remember, love, joy has no reason. The best way for me to explain this is if we look at the journey, and no doubt one of the truth bumps will be about the journey. In fact, it will probably be multiple versions of the truth bump. And just if I can quickly sidetrack and talk about the truth bumps again, the truth bumps, I'm talking about the feeling. I might in 30 different truth bumps come back to the feeling because you're in a different place, and we can revisit the feeling because you're now much more open, or you have now more capacity or more space to grasp what is actually there to be shared, right? So once we finish a truth bump, it's done for now. We may revisit it. So anyway, what I was going to do is give you a little bit of a metaphor about the feeling. And also, like I said, this also relates to the journey. If you can imagine the ocean being, who you are, as you're experiencing yourself on the surface of things, you're on the surface of the ocean. So when you're, of course, as you take your journey and you begin to have deeper realizations, you're going to drop in much deeper. I promise you this will happen as you go deeper and deeper in the truth bumps. You're going to fall in a deeper place within yourself. And, but when you first start, you're at more of a surface level. Okay. Now that's not good or bad. It's different. And when you're on the surface level, you're affected by what takes place on the surface. So if this is an ocean, if it's a calm day and it's a favorable weather conditions, everything's going to be great and life is amazing. But as we know, when we're referring to the metaphor of the ocean, sometimes there's going to be cloudy, it's going to be cold, it's going to be stormy, it's going to be high winds, it's going to be tidal waves. Hey, there could be a tsunami, right? Then if you're at the surface, then you're experiencing very big up and downs, and you're having an emotional reaction, right? Now, as you go deeper into the ocean, and if you can imagine this ocean has no floor bed, because that will be more fitting in my metaphor. The deeper you go, and this is what happens as you go on your journey. The deeper you go, the more still it becomes. And as you go deeper and deeper, what's happening to you, or what's happening in life, or what's happening on the surface will not affect you compared to when you were on the surface. As you go deeper and deeper, it becomes more quiet, more peaceful, more powerful. That's the journey. And this metaphor fits because the feeling is always coming from the deepest place that you have landed in. It's coming from the most deepest place, but we can't comprehend the depth of it yet because there's infinite depth to this ocean. There is no floor bed, remember? There's infinite depth, but we comprehend where it's coming from compared to where we are in that depth, on that journey. So you feel this feeling. The deeper you go, the more profound that feeling becomes. The more you don't, like at the beginning when you're on the surface, when you feel that feeling, you're still questioning. Why are you still questioning? You're like, you feel to do something. And again, the feeling could sometimes, it just could be your intuition. Later on, I will again actually share with you the difference between the feeling and your intuitive feeling. Again, there's a difference with that too, but I'll save that for a truth bump way down the track, maybe in a few weeks. And but for now, I'm just going to use the word, the feeling. But when the feeling comes, and sometimes you doubt the feeling because you're still at the surface level. In other words, when you're at the surface level, you're still impacted with what's happening on the surface. Yeah, but I feel to do this feeling. I feel to follow this feeling. But what if it doesn't work? You see, you're at the surface. What if a storm comes? What if I fail? What if I run out of money? What if they reject me? See, all that is happening because your attention is between the feeling and the surface. But as you go deeper on your journey and you have a deeper connection to where the feeling is coming from, you have no doubt. All you have is an absolute knowing. And you can apply that knowing because you actually believe in what you know. So this is when the head and the heart are integrated as one. At the beginning, the head and heart, when you first start this journey, it's like you want to let go of the head so you can follow your heart, because the head makes a lot of noise. Okay. But as you go deeper in this journey, as you go deeper in the ocean, deeper within the ocean, it doesn't matter what's happening on the surface. It doesn't make noise. It's not like it doesn't matter what's happening, right? But you're not having a reaction to what's happening, okay? So you're more guided by your feeling rather than the noise that could be made in your head, okay? So there is an alignment between your head and heart. You begin to not, at the beginning you have this, when you have the feeling, you have this knowing, but the head doesn't believe in that knowing. The head's going, yeah, I don't know about that. That sounds a bit woo-woo, or that sounds a bit like, what if it doesn't work? Or, yeah, but, in the real world right now, I don't have money. Or in the real world right now, well, what would people think of me? Well, but what if it doesn't work? That's what's happening. So your head and heart are not working together. But in order for your head to align with your heart, you need to lead with your heart. Your head will follow, because he or she that has most certainty will win. And the most certainty will come from your heart. And as you have that certainty, your head will follow, and your intellect. All right, when we're talking about head, we're talking about your intellect, your logic, your beliefs. You will believe in what you know, and that is what's required in order for you to live this. Everything that I'm sharing with you guys, what started me on my journey, what continues to drive me on my journey, is the ability to actually live what we know. See, I knew this stuff when I first started, but for me, it was like, what's the point of knowing this? And you can't live it. I didn't come here just to sit on a rock. And although that might be very blissful, right? That's not what I'm built to do. So I didn't come here just to sit. I want to be able to live what I know. And this is what continues to drive me today. Because if you can't live what you know in your heart, what you know to be true, then what you're living is woo-woo. It's woo-woo. It's fluff. It's pink clouds and unicorns, right? You must be able to live what you know, and that's not going to happen until you actually believe in what you know. This is more than believing in yourself. This is believing in what you know, the knowing that you feel in your heart. So all I'm saying to you is that, yes, the feeling comes from the deepest part of the ocean. And what it feels like, by the way, if I can give you another metaphor, whether it's your intuition or the feeling, however you're interpreting this right now, it's like there's a deep part of the ocean, there's a bubble that begins to rise. And when that bubble hits wherever you are, you might be on the surface of the ocean, for example. When that bubble hits the surface, it goes pop. And when it goes pop, you just have this download, this immediate direct experience, and you just realize it just becomes, you have this bliss, this joy, or this clarity that it just becomes apparent for you. Oh, of course. And you have solutions, you have ideas, you have creativity, and it just goes pop. And you don't even know where it came from, but it came from deep within the ocean. In fact, your identity takes ownership of where it came from and said, oh, look what I just came up with. Look at the idea, but you didn't think, you were yearning for the idea. Maybe you were looking for it. Maybe you had the question. But the answer didn't come when it comes from deep, and it just pops. Like if you're present enough when this actually takes place, you know that you as the intellect, as the identity, did not come up with that idea. If anything, you realize the idea that presented itself, and it presents itself with a pop. It just feels your being. It feels your realization. Right, your awareness. It fills your awareness, and you have a realization, is what I should put it, right? So, I always say that, that's when your ego or your identity hijacks the idea, and it says, look what I came up with. And the challenge with that is that if you take credit, or if you think to yourself, look what I come up with, you're disconnecting with the feeling. So the feeling, I guess I'm giving you a little bit of an understanding of where the feeling comes from. Yes, we understand it comes from deep within, but and also a little bit about the journey. As you go deeper and deeper within, the surface will not make as much noise as it used to. And as you go deeper and deeper within, as you have more and more certainty, your beliefs will bend around the feeling. Your thoughts will bend around the feeling. The noise that it was in your head will bend around your feeling, right? And that's when the heart and the head will work together in the physical world. And this is what I refer to as becoming the greatest version of yourself, or in the WTF, I refer to becoming an infinite being in a finite world. You're still in the physical reality. There's still limitations. There's still gravity. But now you can bend gravity. Hey, like me, you could fly an aeroplane. Somebody one day came up with the idea, the Wright brothers came up with the idea that we could fly, right? That idea would come deep from within the ocean, because they had a deep yearning for that. They had a deep belief, deep yearning, deep love to fly. And that idea would rise up and pop. And then they think to themselves, we could build a plane, build something just like a bird. And so you get the point, right? So that's what the feeling is. It's the juices for your creativity. It's the juices for, feeling alive, that happiness or that joy for no absolute reason, right? It's the juices for your intuition, which is your GPS and how you navigate through your physical reality, right? To align yourself to your greatest version of yourself. So I would credit, if I can use that word, I don't know what word is coming to me at this point, but where I am in my life and who I am in my life, I would credit that to me following my feeling. And not confusing, because at the beginning I would confuse my emotional reactions to the feelings. So for example, I would be financially strained. I would be financially going through a difficult time. And then I would look for ways to come up with ideas to take that financial strain away. But those ideas are driven by an emotional reaction, right? And then I would fabricate, this is another thing, which I would probably talk about this in a future truth bump, but I would fabricate a feeling and go, for example, oh, I feel to do this, right? And it's not what I really feel. It's coming from the part of me that is freaking out because I have no money. It's coming from the part of me that is looking to strive. It's looking to thrive. That's not the feeling, right? And look, the strive and thrive part, it's not that it doesn't, when you use that, it doesn't work. It does. And you might have some I don't know, if I was financially strained, I might come up with some ideas and move money around, and suddenly I've changed my financial circumstances temporarily. Because anything you do from strive or to survive is temporary. And you notice that it only made changes for the meantime. Because then what happens is then the financial strain will come back. And, maybe you find yourself in a similar boat, or maybe you're now doing really well, but it's not enough. Because now you need to do better than that, because now you're playing a different game and you have different competitors now. And now you need to make more money to make the money that you have feel safe, because now that doesn't feel safe. I could give you so many reference points to this, but if you're the right person for this path, the path that you're on right now, you will know that is never enough. And probably why you're listening to this is because you know that ladder that you've been climbing, whether it was a corporate ladder or a social ladder, hasn't got you to where you want to get to. And ultimately what we want to get to is to feel alive. But again, what I was referring to before, we're looking to do things and have things in order to feel a certain feeling. And I'm telling you, that certain feeling that you were looking for is to feel safe, and to have love. Not knowing that if we were to be a little bit calm, a little bit still, take the journey inward, that love that you're looking for outside it's only temporary. It's like we're looking for love in all the wrong places. That love or sense of security or sense of belonging, however you want to see it, purpose. We look for purpose because what do you feel when you have purpose? You feel empowered. You feel love. What do you think that is? It's deep in the ocean. I'll probably do a module on purpose, but like in the WTF, I share this, that purpose is not in what we do. We're continuously looking to, change what we do or change how we do it in order to find our purpose. But purpose is not in what you do. Purpose is actually in who you are. And when you realize who you are, you become purposeful. You then give purpose to what you do rather than look to attain, to gain purpose from what you do. And what does that do? Well, it changes your level of attachment in what you're doing. You're realizing purpose is in who you are. When you realize who you are, you become purposeful. That means that your purpose could be right now walking in the woods. Your purpose could be right now sitting with your kids. You will feel purposeful because it's in who you are. You're then giving purpose to what you do. Purpose is not always related to work. It's not always related to making money. It's not always related to helping others. You can't help others until you've helped yourself. Until you realize the purpose in yourself. The only reason you're trying to help others is because you're looking to find that purpose in someone else or in what you do. And that then creates an attachment, and that then creates force. You change your game to making it happen rather than letting it happen. So, my friends, the emotion is one that feels somewhat heavy. It feels somewhat forced. The feeling feels very light. It feels like it's always been there. And the moment you have that dropping in to the feeling, it's like, oh my goodness, it was so obvious. It's been here all along. It feels like that. And sometimes you have ideas and creativity and you think to yourself, oh my God, how come no one has ever thought about this? Like those are the things, sometimes you say, I couldn't have written the script any better. You've ever said that? These are the moments when you're connecting with the feeling. So sometimes we fabricate a feeling because we, especially now that you begin to understand and have this realization, there's a difference between a feeling and emotion. You start to think to yourself, this feeling feels light. It feels, you're going to notice that your identity, your ego will pick up some of these words and goes, it feels light. And, I have no reason for feeling happy or joy. And you begin to fabricate a feeling. In other words, you're having an emotional reaction, but you fabricate it to feel what you understand it should feel like. So you can't fake it. That's what I'm going to tell you about that. None of this is a fake it till you make it thing. I'm not one that believes in order to get where you want to be, you need to fake it till you make it. Why would you need to fake it? Love, you can't fake love. You can't fake true self-empowerment, right? Why don't you, instead of faking it, just drop into yourself, dropping to where the feeling is coming from. So now I understand, some people are like, well, I can't feel the feeling because, and this is just the first step. The first step is to grasp where the feeling is coming from, and why you're having the feeling, which is what I'm about to share with you right now, right? And as we continue on these truth bumps, and we quieten some of the noise that's coming from up here by reclaiming the power, because you've given power to things outside of you. And as you give power to those things, they make more and more noise. And as we reclaim those power, which is what we're going to do in the next truth bumps, all right, is you reclaim that power, you will start to quieten that noise. So at this point, I want to tell you that, yes, in my life, I would attribute everything that I have, everything that I get to do in my life and how I get to do that, to following the feeling. That's all I've known to do. That's all I know how to do, right? People think sometimes, oh, well, you must be a smart businessman or entrepreneur. It's like, I've just followed my feeling. Oh, you must be a good presenter, or you must be a coach. Where did you do your training? I've just followed my feeling. That's all I've known how to do, right? And I just want to say that where I am in my life, what I've got and how I get to do what I get to do in my life, which is phenomenal experience on its own, is because of my ability to follow the feeling. The content that you're hearing and that you will continue to hear would not be possible if I did not have the ability to follow my feeling. And all I'm going to do is going to share with you more truth bumps, more coaching, more insights for you to be able to do it at the level that I am doing it. Because sure, some of you are definitely following the feeling, maybe all of you right now, but there's a deeper level. Remember, as you go deeper in the ocean bed, the feeling becomes stronger, which brings me to the point that I'm going to share right now. So all the things that I have, all the things that I get to do in my life, how I live my life is because of the feeling. And you think to yourself, that is probably the greatest prize, but it's not. The greatest prize is not what I have. The greatest prize is not what I get to do. It's who I am becoming. It's who I have become. And I don't like to say who I've become, but I'm just going to drop that in there for you because that's probably what you're expecting me to say. But it's who I'm becoming, because I'm always becoming the greatest version of myself, but there is infinite depth to this ocean. There is no floor bed. So I'm becoming more, if I could say, I'm going deeper into myself as infinite, right? So it's who I've become. It's who I'm becoming. And what I mean by this is that I even thought when I first started following my feeling, because my head didn't get me where I wanted to. Don't get me wrong, my intellect, my logic, my identity got me lots of things. Like I was a big failure when I first started. At age of 20, I was on the verge of bankruptcy, and I turned all that around over the next 5 or 7 years. And I had an oceanfront or harborfront home, and boats, and traveling the world in the front of the plane and in the back of the car, if you know what I mean. So, but it wasn't, there was still, within all that, there was still something very, very big missing. And what's missing was myself, right? It's something still felt incomplete. Something still didn't feel whole within myself because I was missing me, the real me, the greatest version of me. So, I began to follow the feeling, not my heart. And then I got to a point where I brought the two aligned, because that's what you need in order for you to live this, not just know this, but to live it, to apply it, to be it. So I got to a point when I began to realize, I thought I was following the feeling so I can do what I love to do. I thought I was following the feeling so I can have all the things that I love to have. And of course, it's given me that. But the greatest thing it's given me is who I'm becoming. And I began to realize we follow the feeling because as we continue to follow the feeling becomes more and more familiar. And we continuously draw deeper and deeper into ourselves, deeper and deeper in that ocean. Every time you follow the feeling, you're going deeper within yourself. You're becoming more and more familiar with that feeling. And then I began to realize I am not only becoming the greatest version of myself, I am becoming the feeling. My question to you, for you to just ponder on after this call, and maybe you want to write this down at some point and reflect for yourself. I will be doing a truth bump on pondering. That's another tool, an ability, a skill that you will require on this journey. I will share with that. But for now, I'm just going to use the word reflect. My question to you is, as you begin to follow the feeling and as you begin to become the greatest version of yourself, and as you begin to become the feeling, what or who are you going to follow next? Because for years, my yearning has brought me to the feeling. for me to follow the feeling, for me to trust the feeling, for me to know the feeling. As you begin to become the feeling, who are you going to follow? I'll leave that for you to reflect on. Or as they say, put that in your pipe and smoke that. Better than some of the other stuff you might have been smoking in the past. For those who have been smoking some of the other stuff. So that's what I'd love for you to what I'd love to share with you about the feeling. What I would love to share one more insight in how to best experience these truth bumps. I would really recommend, and I save this to the end because by now you're probably having maybe some truth bumps, some maybe WTF moments, but by now you would at least be going, oh, okay, there's something here, right? Okay, this guy's not just you have your own thoughts about me, but it's not about me, but it's about where the work is coming from. And by now you might like, okay, there's something here. There's something that is coming from him that there is for me to receive. That's all I'm saying is at some point that you might realize that, okay, there's something here. And all I'm saying to you is that, yes, there is something here. And for you to best process what's here and what's going to be continued to be shared with you every week through the truth bumps, I would suggest that when you're listening to these, you could see how long the recording is before you listen to it. It will be anywhere between 30 to 60 minutes, as I said to you at the beginning. All right. It won't be longer. I always make sure it's not longer than that. If it is, we go into part 2 or part 3, right? But all I'm going to get you to do is, what I would suggest for you to do is listen to the truth pump. When you listen to it for the first time, listen to it by blocking that time. So if it's a 45-minute truth pump, block 45 minutes where you can be completely present with the video or the audio, whichever one it is, but you're completely present, uninterrupted for that period of time. You're not walking, you're not driving, you are completely present, sitting with it, okay? Pretend that you and I are sitting in front of each other and having this conversation, all right? So you're not going to be driving a car or walking. We're going to be sitting. Imagine we're sitting in a coaching room or a consultation room. Treat it like that for your first time. Now, I say your first time because trust me, you'll see there will be times where you would need to revisit the truth pumps that you've just listened to it. You might have to listen to it 2 or 3 times. Okay, so there's plenty of work to be done in that week, right? Some of the stuff I would actually say, please listen to this twice. Please listen to this, go and do this homework and then listen to this. So I just wanted to add that to our final conversation of how to best listen or experience these truth bumps. You want to best experience it with complete presence. And the best way to do that is make that time. Make sure you're not uninterrupted and make sure you're not walking or distracted. Just listen. Sit there and listen. So that's our first truth bump, and I hope that's landed where it needs to be land within yourself. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the next truth bump. So next truth bump, reclaiming power. See you guys then. Hey guys, well done. You've just completed this video. How do you feel? I'm just here just to remind you that in order for me to continue to support you, it's important for you to continue to support this work. Please like this video and also press subscribe, and remember to press the bell icon as well so you get notified every single time I release a video. I'm going to be releasing so much content here that's going to support you. If you're looking for something even more, like you're looking for a community to be part of, some extra support, some extra coaching, you're looking to share your journey with other people, then go ahead and visit my website at amirzoghi.com, and there'll be some information there on how you can be more involved. Also, I read all the comments. I'd love to hear your experience. I want to release these videos for you. I want to support you. I love to see how it's landing for you. What's your experience of the videos? Do you have any questions? So remember to comment below and I'll be responding to those messages as well. Thanks guys. I'll see you on the next video.